Hey guys, and welcome back to FTB Interactions. In the last one, we sped up our ore processing and switched over to distilled water in our ore washers here, as well as adding more capability to be able to process any type of ore we want. We also put the steam that we're producing to use in order to make IV power. We have 4 turbines here producing us 10,834 EU a tick, and we're now using that power to run all of these blast furnaces, a lot of which we set up last time. I just got finished overclocking this one, which is for tungsten steel, so that should speed up that a little bit more. And right at the end of last episode, we were waiting on HSSG. We set up the autocrafting for HSSG right at the end of last episode, and I also went ahead and set up HSSE and HSSS dust. We're currently not doing anything with these two dusts, but it's going to be here when we need it, and we will need it later on in the assembly line. But one of the last blast furnaces we set up was the HSSG one. This has actually given us enough to set up this blast furnace, which is our very first HSSG tier blast furnace. And this, if you recall, is for engraved crystal chips, which is made by combining helium, exquisite emeralds, and emerald plates. So to get the inputs for this, it's a little bit different to all the other ones. The rest we can just filter since we're grabbing everything else for the ME system. But here we have obviously the fluids in the form of helium, which goes into the middle input hatch as a fluid. And then we have exquisite emeralds, which we're getting from our ore processing system. They are just taken from the interface. But the emerald plates we actually don't make passively, so I wanted to set that up where it was just automatically being produced. So we're grabbing emeralds, which we have thousands of by now. They're getting put into a basic compressor, where it goes into blocks. And then the cutting machine cuts them into plates, and then puts them in the input hatch over here. So this will give us our engraved crystal chips, and I have this set to 128. I think we're going to do the cutting step on demand. Or not the cutting step, the laser engraver step on demand, since it's 5 seconds per. So let's first of all make a laser engraver IV tier. And the plan for this episode isn't going to be to do Gregtech the whole time. I would like to take a bit of a break from that, but we're going to get this set up first of all, and then I think we'll move on to do some building. Before we move on, there is one quick little thing that I'd like to fix, and that is our, well, lack of carbon fiber production. So carbon fibers is actually used in a lot of the different CPU components, and to make carbon fibers we have to mix either palladium or platinum in an autoclave with carbon dust. So we have that set up here, we just didn't have any way of producing the platinum. But now that we have a very abundant supply of platinum, let's set up a way to automatically produce carbon fibers. And done. So I just added this fluid extractor, filtered the insert with platinum ingots. This is going to melt into molten platinum. And all we have to do is set the auto output on the fluid. And then this will create our carbon fibers, buffer it in this chest. And, oh hold on, where's this actually going? Oh, I see. We have carbon fibers in this interface and it's going back into this chest. So let's take out the carbon fibers here. That should stop the loop. And then we buffer it in here. And I think we've got a storage bus on the bottom of this. Yeah, we do. We want this on extract only. Alright, let's move on to the crystal chips at IV. For these IV components, we may as well import recipes for everything, as I can see us building a lot of these things. And yeah, this takes 16x annealed copper cable. This is definitely not cheap. Although at this point, copper is not an issue. We have 40,000 dust, so yeah, it's really not a big deal. We just have to put in all the recipes for it. And unfortunately, unlike an Omnifactory, we don't get the convenient wire recipes where we can have like 4 to make it 4x and then another 4 to make it 16x. We have to go through every tier. And we still actually don't have any way of adding tungsten steel or small gears, so let's add an extruder for that really quick. We will give our interface a name. And we're done. We now can make small gears. I don't think I showed this either, but I also added one for bolts yesterday. So yeah, there's the recipe for tungsten steel gears, and we might as well add the rest while we're here. We'll get the aluminium, the stainless steel, all the rest of them really. Okay, we got all the components here on Autocraft, and there is our first IV machine, I believe, the laser engraver. So I think we'll set this down right over here, and we're going to set this up just like all the other ones, allow input from the output side, plug in the interface, I've given this a name. And we'll also need to give this the emerald lens. And now the crystal CPUs are on Autocraft. So with those, I believe that was the last component that we needed for the Crystalprocessors. We already have our niobium titanium, and the rest of the stuff we already have anyway. We just have to have an IV assembling machine actually. So let's make one of these, and hopefully this will be the last time we make the quantum assemblies. I don't know if we have any left. We have 3 left, okay. And who knows why this was named as the assembler IV when the rest are all advanced assembling machines at every other tier. I have no clue. Anyways, how far off are we making this thing? Okay, we're just waiting on the conveyor modules crafting up here. I think we've got everything else for the first IV assembling machine. Conveyor's just finished, and there we go. The oddly named Assembler 4. And we got our assembler all plugged in. I've made a CEF at IV tier and hooked up with some stellar alloy cable, which is the IV lossless cable at this tier. And at some point we do actually have to automate stellar alloy, as this is all just basically from dungeon rewards. But we'll get to that soon enough. There's plenty of it for us to do still. And now that we have this one, we can actually swap out the EV one that we were using. All of these will work in the new assembler, plus it'll be faster. So we're going to put all these recipes in, and we'll also take out these quantum assemblies as we no longer need this. And instead we'll program the recipe for the crystal processors. So now let's see if we can order our first crystal processor here. Oh, we're missing fiber reinforced boards. Are we not making these yet? I guess we're not making these boards, so I'm going to have to add that here. I'll also have to add a way of making electrum, as we're not passively producing this yet. And then we'll also need 2 metal benders, one to turn into plates and then one to turn into foil. And then we'll also need a chemical reactor to mix the foil with fiber reinforced boards and sulfuric acid. And that will give us the multi-layer boards that we need. Aha, so I got all this set up. I set this up last night actually. I was going to put it on this side next to all the other circuit boards, but yeah, there's just no way it would have fit in here. All of these are cables above and below. So a quick explanation of how this works. We have the first alloy smelter. I'm just doing all this at LV since it's all passive, it doesn't need to be fast. This imports gold dust and silver dust from this interface here, just on the item conduit below it. That will output into this buffer chest, where it then is picked up by this bending machine. I think I've got a conveyor belt on there. That's going to bend it into plates and then auto output above it to foil. And then that auto outputs to this chest where we're going to buffer a full chest of foil. And the reason we want a slightly bigger buffer on electrum foil is because it's used in the assembly line stuff. It's used in all the LUV components in quite large quantities. So I'd rather just buffer a few more stacks than the single chest that the electrum is. But the electrum is got a storage bus straight on the alloy smelter there. We could have probably put it on the chest, and we may switch it up if we find that we need more electrum at once. But then on the end tier we have the HV chemical reactor, which mixes the sulfuric acid, the foil and the fiber reinforced boards. All 3 of those come from this interface here, and we just have limited item filters on the inserts for that. And then once again we have a storage bus straight on the machine just to be able to expose this to our ME system. So now we should be able to order our crystal processors. I did try one just to make sure it works, but let's pick it up for the quest. There we go. Are we going to get some free? We do. Nice. And now that we have them on autocraft, let's also pick up this quest for 16 of them. So can we get another... Well, I guess we'll just order another 16. And you know what? I think today is also the day where we're going to clean up this quest book. So let's claim all of our rewards first of all. I think I'm just going to hit the claim all button. It was 59 rewards. Oh wow, that is a lot of quest rewards. Let's see what we got here. Compact machine, some cable, tunnels. Oh, these would have been useful. The will crystals from blood magic. Alright, let me clean this up a bit. Alright, the crystal processors have finished. Let's pick up this for our quest reward. All this stuff is quite easy by now, so it's not as big a deal as it was in the lower tiers. But still nice to have that stuff. Hold on, why do we have 3600 engraved crystal chips? Did I not level them at this blast furnace? Oh, I had it inverted. I bet that's also burned through all of our helium. Yeah. Oops. Well, mistakes were definitely made there. Yeah, I don't think we're going to need any more crystal chips for like the whole game. So we're probably going to just end up repurposing this blast furnace. Well, now that we have the crystal processor, let's actually look at the next tier. Because if I recall, we can actually get our creative wireless crafting terminal at IV. So this takes the next tier of circuit, a dense energy cell, some infinity boosters, and some osmium cable. Yeah, I think we can do this by now actually. Because I still find myself running out of range on this wireless terminal. So let's look into upgrading this. To do that we have to make the next tier of assemblies, which at this point is easy. We have all these components. So we'll encode this, and we can craft this no problem. We will also need our dense energy cell, which is made in this multi-block machine over here. There we go. And our assembly is done crafting. Let's make sure that we get the quest reward for that, which will give us another 4. Awesome. So the last thing we're missing is these booster cards, which takes a lot of these Fluix Pearls, and this takes a lot of helium. Oh, great. Okay, I think we're gonna have to find another way of getting helium. Yeah, we're completely out of helium. That was that was a big mistake over there. Alright, so for helium I can see 2 options that we've got here. Well, there's actually more than 2, but 2 that I'm considering. So we can either do noble gases, which gives us 9,000 millibuckets of helium. And this way we'll have to set up anyway, as we have to centrifuge the gassy egg for argon, as argon is used in Aquada Alloy and, yeah, the later game stuff. Or we could use our refinery gas that we're just trashing right now from our distillation tower, and this gives us a tiny little bit of helium. So I think since we need to do this way anyway, I think we will actually just invest in the noble gases, which means we need to centrifuge the gassy egg from the chicken. I think we will actually need a few of these things because this only gives a tiny amount per egg. Alright, so I got some materials here. I think we're going to set it up next to this automation over here on this end of the base. Again, we are running out of channels here, but we may just have enough to squeeze this in. So the first step is going to be to have some roosts. I don't know exactly how many of these we're going to need, so we'll leave some space to add some more. But they're going to go into a centrifuge. And then we're just running some conduit inside, and that's going to give us all of our fluids. So we have to deal with all of these. So I think what I'll do is actually put everything in our ME system, and then I'll put oxygen, nitrogen, and... yeah, just oxygen and nitrogen on the overflow trash. So yeah, over on this storage bus here, we'll add oxygen. Actually, on second thought, we're not going to add oxygen here. And the reason for that is because we have some chemical reactors, such as this one here. We'll just keep running and putting fluids in the ME system and wasting power, basically. I think we have a few of these making oxygen, so instead what we're going to do is just filter a fluid trash can on site here. And we'll do that before it hits the interface. So we want the fluid trash on higher priority. So yeah, we'll export on the blue channel here. Make sure we disable round robin. And we'll set the trash can to the highest priority with the filter in there for oxygen, as well as nitrogen. Actually, nitrogen we will keep because we're not producing this anywhere else, I don't think. We're just going to throw out the oxygen. And the rest will just go into the fluid interface here, which we have to plug in. Cool, so that's going to empty all the fluids in our fluid interface. We will have to partition argon and noble gases. And on second thought, we're actually not going to put the noble gases in here, so I've added a blacklist for noble gases. Instead, the noble gases is just going to be centrifuged. So we'll filter that in the centrifuge above that with some fluid conduit. Once we plug this in, we are going to get our helium, I think, out of this. Yeah, as well as some deuterium and methane and carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide we will just throw out. This we don't need. The methane we'll send in our system since we have that on the overflow. And deuterium, that's also quite useful, so we'll just send that back into the interface. And I guess same with helium. So for this we're going to add carbon dioxide to this trash can. And the rest is just going to empty out into the interface here. I guess we have to add carbon dioxide to the blacklist on this. Alright, so that is our helium taken care of, as well as argon production for the future. And it looks like this isn't quite at 100% uptime, so I think we can add an extra roost to this. There we go. Chickens for the win. It still has some downtime, but honestly, I think it's fast enough. Alright, so now back to these infinity boosters. We need the Fluix Pearls in the mixer. To get the Fluix Pearls, we actually need pure Fluix crystals, and way back when we first started the 82, I did batch craft these. But we're down to our last 9 here. So while we're at it, just set up this phytogenic insulator to automatically produce us Fluix crystals. Alright, we got it all set up here. This is very, very simple setup. We have the interface, which we're going to put on our patterns for. I have one for the pure Ceres as well as the pure nether quartz. Since they're all made the same way, we just mix the seeds with some glowstone and water. So we're powering this insulator just with a spectre coil on the back. Hi zombie. Then the input and output is both handled on the bottom side of the machine. And the fluids, we're just sharing this fluid interface with, I think this is for life essence. That's just extracted on a conduit and into the side of the machine. So now I think we can just ask for pure Fluix as long as we have the seed recipes, which is just the dust and the sand. Let me go and encode those. Okay, I put in the seed recipes. Can we get 100 of these things? Yeah, there we go. So now we just combine our helium, the pearl dust, and the flux crystal in a mixer, and we'll get our flux pearls. And we need how many of these things? 2 per, and we need a stack of these things. Oh, a stack and a half. Alright, stack and a half isn't too bad. Alright, we just got the 32 Infinity Booster cards. Let's combine those in our assembler at IV. We'll have to take out the tin, and we need polytetrafluoroethylene. Then we'll put in all of our items. What am I missing? Osmium cable. And the crafting terminal. There we go. And I think this will be our 4th creative item. Either 3rd or 4th. Alright, there's our quest. And we get a magnet card for this, I think. Okay, we have to link it again. I think our security terminal is still down here. Somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Nice, so now we don't have to worry about the range. We can access these anywhere, I think even cross-dimensionally. And the magnet card is nice. It means that you can configure it to automatically pick up and put things in your ME system. And apparently there's even a filter as well. Oh, this is cool. Also, I noticed while encoding the recipes, we're almost out of space here on our MA chamber. We have 2 slots left. So let's see about upgrading the inside of this. I don't think we've actually touched it since we built it. But we're going to need some more pattern providers. Those are quite easy at this point. We have all the components for this on Autocraft. I think maybe except for this thing. But that's not too bad anyway. Let's just encode those 2 recipes in the last 2 slots. And we'll try and get another 12 of these things. Yeah, we can do another 12. Also, now that we have the creative wireless crafting terminal, we can remove all of our wireless access points. And this will also reduce the RF consumption of our AE system. I think there was one down here as well. Yeah, there it is over there. And one next to the farm. So we got the mass assembler upgraded. I also added some more crafting coprocessors. And this takes us up to 15 pages worth of recipes. So now that we have that, I think I would like to take a bit of a break from progression and do a bit of building on our base here. I think today I'm going to finally get around to terraforming all this area. I don't quite have a plan set in stone, but I'm just going to put some music on, get to building, and yeah, we'll see what we get at the end of the day. Okay, and we no longer have a floating base. So I terraformed everything over this side, more or less all the way around. I did leave a spot over there, but I could still do with some more trees and things to spruce it up. I'll probably bone meal the grass a bit. But yeah, this ties it in quite nicely. I'm still not sure what we're going to do with this room, if we actually need these 4 infernal deconglomerators or not. But we got all the outsides done. I did leave this space though, for the assembly lines. And I think we'll also put our fusion reactor over here somewhere. But I also built this walkway to connect our these two rooms together with the ore processing. This still needs walls of course, but I'll do that at a later stage. But then I terraformed all of this area as well. So I just took the terrain height up to match the level of the building. And also at the bottom of this hill where it connects with the base, I just tried to tidy it up a bit. And inside I also added some windows in here, just to keep it quite bright and open. This room in here has changed slightly as well. I think these supports here are new. Some new windows here, and then I also finished up this corridor, which connects through to the other machines. But yeah, still not sure what I'm going to do with this room here. I'm sure this will find a use, but all this out here still needs finished. I did try to tie in this area. But yeah, just slowly chipping away at this base. But I do think it is looking much better already. Apart from this bit here, I did miss this. Also, the footprint of this base is so much larger than I first imagined this. Back when we first had our little platform, where would it have been? For here is the first start of the base. And we're still not even finished yet, but yeah. To finish off today's episode, let's clean up some of this quest book. So we have quite a lot in the chemistry tab that we've actually done, we just haven't picked up the quest for. Like for example, the chlorine cell. And the hydrochloric acid. Chloroform. And hydrofluoric acid. And that's almost the LV chemistry tab finished. In the MV one we need, well, to tick a box apparently, we need noble gases and argon. We can do that. There's argon and noble gases. We also need wood tar. The last two is deuterium and helium. Alright, and with that, I think that is the chapter complete. No, just missing tetranitromethane. We can do that. I think that is over here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Alright, there's the chapter complete. We can also pick up the HV chemistry tab. We need titanium tetrachloride, cetane boosted, and infused nitrodiesel. Alright, we can get our tetrachloride right here. Cetane boosted, and infused nitrodiesel. And that also completes HV chemistry. And in the metallurgy tab, we can actually almost get some of this stuff. The HV tab wants us to get the purified sphalerite and galena, as this is normally how you make indium dust, but we're making this through pulverizing the crystal shards, or the crystal blocks. But let's try to get it just for the quest. Okay, so for a second we're going to turn off the extract on the ore washers. I crushed some sphalerite and galena. Let's just put these in by hand. There's the sphalerite, and there's the galena. And that should also be the quest. And the last quest in this chapter is for indium, which I think we should have in here. Yeah, we have the regular dust, and there's the tiny pile. And chapter complete. As for the EV tab, we need iridium and osmium. We have plenty of that by now. Alright, there's 3 quests. And the last one is for reinforced iridium alloy. And oh, this gives us a cool sword. Alright, how do we make this then? We need iridium alloy ingots, which is iridium plates, tungsten, and diamond dust. Yeah, this is easy. So I put in the recipes for the iridium alloy. Let's request one of these things. And to make it into the plate, we have to put it in our implosion compressor. There's our plate and the quest. And our sword. This is cool. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that though. So now that we have that, I'd like to look at the next stage of progression in Gregtech, which is our wetware processors. I think this might take us a while to actually get here, as this requires us to make the assembly line, and it also requires these SMD diodes, which I don't think we're quite making yet, and neural processing units. And oh, okay, these have to be made in the assembly line. So yeah, I guess this brings us on to the assembly line, which is a multi-block assembler. And these are a bunch of IV components, quite a bit of tungsten steel it looks like, and yeah, some motors, a lot of circuits. Let's maybe encode the recipe and see how far off we are. Okay, we're just missing the casings. And after putting in the casing recipe, we're actually able to craft this already. I'm quite surprised, but yeah, I'm not even sure if we have the power to even run this thing. So we obviously need more than just a controller block. There's these machine casings, reinforced glass, and the assembly line casings. Oh, and the craft just finished as well. And our quest. Gives us some free tungsten steel, I'll take that, and some wafers. We're actually getting quite low on these, so we'll have to set up automation at some point for wafers. And we can also pick up our trophy, some IV machine hulls, and some processors. But yeah, I think the rest of the assembly line is going to have to wait until tomorrow. I don't quite have as much time today to record, and the building actually did take me quite a while. So in between episodes, I'm going to try to gather the rest of the materials for the assembly line, and then we can start with that tomorrow. Again, I think the plan is to stick it over here somewhere. Maybe line it up against this wall here. But yeah, we're making slow and steady progress here, and I'm having so much fun doing this. I think we're also nearing the end of the pack. It'll be relatively soon. I think maybe by the end of next week we'll be finished. Which is why I wanted to get some of this building done. I didn't want to leave it all till the end, so we were finished the pack and then still had an unfinished base. But there's still lots to do. There might be something unexpected come up and it ends up extending the playtime even longer. But yeah, that's going to do it for today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more Gregtech, some assembly lines. But anyways, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.